Hi everyone, and I really enjoyed the first talk and discussion, and we're going to start ours. My name is Ziyang, Ziyang Wu, and so these are what my primary sort of research of interest or focus in the past 5 years, including algorithm controlling biases, network and infrastructure, digital labor rights, AI archaeology, planetary scale computation, and speculation on cloud network societies in developing countries. And I will use three recent projects to, I guess, articulate, starting from this project called Future Forecast that, I think I've presented in some occasions before, which is a project that includes a live simulation plus collective world building game, a CGI film, and a series of NFT characters. So this is a sort of a description of the project, but I'm just gonna directly go through it. So to introduce a little bit context of this project, it was in collaboration with my longtime collaborator, Mark Ramos, who is a Filipino-American artist based in Brooklyn. And we collaborated on a few projects such as network ecosystem that was commissioned by Rhizome, which is like an internet platform, net art platform based in New York. But this is like our sort of like biggest collaboration by far, which started from our research or interest in the sort of infrastructure, telecommunication infrastructure in the Philippines. And we also found out that there was a formal collaboration between the Duterte government and the Chinese government under One Belt One Road and Build project. So here, these are all different projects, but we were pretty interested in this company called Dito Telecommunity, which was, I think, currently the third biggest telecom company in the Philippines after PLDT and Globe. But also interestingly, I think after research, over 60% of the money of Dito Telecommunity was from China Telecom. As a part of the sort of collaboration of the infrastructure development. So I think this was a very important sort of like starting point of our research. And and of course there was also like, for example, Alibaba's sort of like, massive sort of infrastructure development there as well. And another aspect was blockchain. So for example, this was a research that we did. We found this company called Cypher Alding, which is a blockchain company where they had official collaboration with the Filipino government, with the Manila government, local government, to use blockchain technology to clean the Pasig River, which is a river that was declared ecologically dead as early as 2000s. But so there was all kinds of ways trying to clean this river. But I think what is interesting that this blockchain, because when we think about blockchain, it's mostly related to economy or the other kind of thing, money. But this is sort of like a more official collaboration with a local government. So because the advantage of blockchain is to, first of all, it's like so-called full transparency. You can check whatever, on blockchain, anything, nothing is changeable. So the idea is that it has a potential to erase corruption. Potential, of course, this is not going to happen. But and also, citizens can use token mechanism to collect garbages and then exchange that for current money, basically, for pesos and so on. So these are the general sort of like context of the project, and structurally we were very much inspired by Benjamin Bratton's stack theory or stack structure, which is this, I think, it's okay. But it's this like, okay, so so it's this sort of like mega structure that he sort of like brought up a few years ago, where it has basically like 6 layers, including the earth layer, cloud layer, city layer, address layer, interface layer, and the user layer. I think what was interesting is that in many cases, for example, we have our phone here, and there's all kinds of like metal sort of material or minerals inside, which many of them are like when we say like earth layer, but for example, there are like the most crucial material. I don't know the word in English, but it's mostly like taken in the Republic of Congo, which also caused many wars before. So, for example, that's from earth layer, but this is the interface, right? Like that's how we communicate with this larger sort of stack structure. So I think with this sort of theory or the structure, we use it to kind of like reveal the sort of like hidden, because this is how we did it, which is like we connect this interface layer to the sort of earth layer to kind of reveal the hidden story that we don't necessarily see. As one example. So this is, I guess, like how we sort of influenced by this structure. And so basically we create this interactive game where we can do like collective world building together. So within this game, there are 2 parts. One is data simulation. Second part is collective world building. So data simulation, we were, I guess, since Mark is more like a net artist, so he worked a lot with internet and APIs. So we use all kinds of APIs, basically data that is related to the Philippines, for example, from the CO2 data that will affect like real-time, real CO2 data to change, the smoke effect in our virtual world in real time, or Bitcoin data, or fossil fuel data. In many cases, this data wasn't really working because we stopped paying. So it's kind of like fake. But that was a concept, or at least that was a concept. And but also like a day and night cycle. So for example, if we log into this game right now, it's like daytime. So that's the data simulation part. The second part, we call it collective world building. And of course, it's taking place at the same time. So basically, you will log into this game. And then our server can host a maximum 200 people because we're using the free version, and this is the visual of it. It all comes with low poly because we want more people to be able to play it with like even just regular desktop computers. So basically the structure or the mechanism of the game is that we have a bunch of missions. Each mission has 2 options, and these 2 options are almost opposing to each other. So for example, in the first mission, you can choose to build a tree, or you can choose to build a tree. What happened? Okay. Oh yeah. Or this one is more straightforward. So you can choose to clean the passive river or not. So if you choose to not clean the river, you have to choose a garbage to dump. But if you choose to clean the river, and then you can remove the garbage, but it will be replaced by a surveillance camera. So this part is very straightforward because we're using blockchain and IoT technology, and in order to the IoT technology is basically having shit tons of like surveillance camera or like sensors to collect real-time data of the river, right? How polluted it was, right? So it's in the end it's like related to once again massive surveillance data collection and so on, and also related to this idea that talking about technology, we think, for example, the whole world is manageable. We can always predict through data. I think that's something that is always debatable. Or you can, for example, in the city layer, you can choose to build like a cyberpunk-ish architecture, or you can choose to focus more on the we call it like Sari store, which is more like local markets, like for local sustainability. So in the end, this game is pretty much about, we will, all the participants will sort of co-working and collectively building this world together based on our different ideologies, because we all think differently about future development. And I think this is essentially what this sort of game is about. And so there's all these, background stories about these missions. I think this one very well represented our interest. It's a screenshot from this documentary from Vice. Susana Labria, mother of 7, uses money meant for food for mobile data her children can use for classes. $2 can buy the family 1 week of data or 2 kilos of rice. Education wins over hunger in her situation. So I think this is something that we think a lot about this project, at least when we develop this project, is when we talk about technology, when we talk about AI, I think the geopolitical context is extremely important. Technology is never neutral here, or data is never neutral here. So I'm gonna skip some of the parts. This was an NFT part, which is another part that we never succeeded in making. So we were we're trying really hard to make, to create a new, I guess, economic mechanism where we can finish these games. So basically, we can buy these characters and then exchange it for energy points within the game, and then we will use those energy points to finish the missions and to build the world together. And by the end of each month, we will sell this world again as an NFT. That was the initial idea, and then share all the money, because every single decision that in the world building can be tracked through a smart contract. And when the world is sold, if we sold it for like $10, we share $10. If we sell it for like $1 million, we share $1 million. I mean, that was the initial idea. So we reached out to many Web3 companies back then in 2022. We almost made it, and the market crashed. So unfortunately, yeah, that's what happened. So this part, we never made it happen, but and these are all the characters. So Mark and I are really into just writing stories. So if anyone is interested, we don't have time to, I guess, share all the details, but these are the stories that we have, like a book or PDFs to share with everyone. And there's a third part. This is just a trailer of it's basically the same idea of the game, but I was like, because I always write stories, make animations, so I felt like, maybe through the game, it wasn't maybe as clear. Yeah, Ali, haha. It wasn't as clear as, so I end up making this animation, because I work a lot with 3D, and I was like, oh, that one was low poly. I wanted to make something like even visually fancier. So that was, yeah, so the actual video is around 10 minutes long. So, and this is our team. It was my first time working with a team because it includes like a game part. And the first part was initially commissioned by the Guangdong Times Museum, and that last animation was commissioned by UCCA. I think another part is that we always redesign the installation depending on the budget, depending on the space that we have. So this was in my solo at the Hao Art Museum in Shanghai 2 years ago. This was in Shenzhen. So like aesthetically, you can see it's very different. yeah, sometimes we get more money, sometimes less. So yeah, so this one was at Siva Festival, yeah, in Vienna last year, and yeah, some more minimal-ish aesthetic. And this one was in Luxembourg last year at their 2024 Biennale. Okay, so moving on to the next project, more related to AI, because we kind of like have this context here. So this project is called Invent Modeling, also in collaboration with Mark Ramos. So it's a much smaller project. So back in 2022, me and my other friend, because we sometimes making tools. Sometimes I'm like a tech nerd, depending on the situation. So sometimes I'll be really into just like making new tools. So this one was, basically we made an AI generation tool that could generate 3D models through text input immediately, directly. Like right now you have all kinds of tools that could do a much better job, much faster. But back then, when we created that, first of all, I was like, fuck yeah, because I don't have to like make 3D models anymore. At the same time, we were very aware that this tool or this technology will be dated very, very soon. For example, it will be outdated next month because there will be better, faster, stronger AI tools. But at the same time, I think the aesthetics of them really reminds us of fossils, because they're kind of like crappy. So for example, this one. Basically, what we did is that I spent about like 100 days every day just searching, just using what I encounter with every day on the internet, and using, for example, YouTube's the text as the text input to generate each model. So for example, this one was the Superman's Filipino superfan. So, in the end, it's kind of like wearing a Superman jersey, but also wearing a Filipino flag at the same time. I think it's this sort of like non-clarity, or this sort of like, it's like a mixture of a lot of things really interested in us. And for example, this one was when Kanye West went on Fox News because he was wearing the White Lives Matter shirt. And this is what was generated, was someone with a middle finger. Or this one was an anime about a Buddha and Jesus love story. And this was what it was generated in the end. So I think we were sort of into this idea of fossil, because when we think of dinosaur fossils, there's a lot of misinterpretation, because according to research, many dinosaurs actually carries feathers, but in humans' visualization of dinosaurs, they're mostly coming with like very clean skins. So we start to think, basically when humans are distinct, how our sort of information are going to be reinterpreted and reconstruct and misunderstood. And these are sort of the AI fossils that we created here. So there are two parts. The first part of the interaction is very straightforward. You can just approach these fossils, and their original information will pop up. So it's like a coexisting information of AI fossil and human original information there.
Being half Chinese and half black is a different story.
The incredible AX4 mobile 3D printer that can be transported right to the construction site.
Also known as Wong, is China's first Afro-Chinese model to feature on both China's cover stories. Today, I'll give you a glimpse into her life story.
Yeah, there was a Ziyang there. Yeah. Yeah, so that was the first part. The second part is called dump, and I'm gonna just play the video. But the idea is that technically is a little bit difficult, but basically we tag many of the 3D models that we showed that we generated with lots of keywords, such as this one was elite, wealth, and something else, legitimate. Or so basically, we connect our world, the virtual world dump, with Twitter, which is X, and Weibo. So basically, whenever someone tweets something that includes our keyword, for example, identity. For example, they tweet something about like, oh, today's identity politics is blah, blah, blah on X or Twitter. A corresponding 3D model will be dumped into our virtual scene. And what they tweet will be shown here at the same time. So the idea, so this is a world that is collaboratively created by the artists, which is us, the AI generation tool, and also social media users all over the world. And it's just like keeps on dumping and collecting and dumping and dumping, a collective stories. So, and this is how we show it. Sometimes we'll make an inflatable for people to take photos. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, or sometimes making more like a And this one was at the media center. It was like a very small space, but we turned this part into a VR interaction. Yeah. I guess last but not least, I will use the next 2 minutes very quickly to share my most recent project called Agartha. I think I'll just play the video and I will end there. So very briefly, Agartha. So I guess after the previous 2 projects, because this work was commissioned by the Pinchuk Art Center in Kyiv, Ukraine. And so when I think of that context, I end up going there in the end and spend like 10 days there. Did some other things, but I think when I think of that context, I wasn't able to just like focus on one, I guess, geopolitical, like one place anymore. I was into sort of like how figuring out or using our work to figure out how things are different modes of connections between like plants, animals, humans, non-humans, and so on. So this is how I create this work, and I found this thing called Agartha, which is according to ancient Indian mythical story, is an underground world that connects many different places, and this is the. So in the end, I created about like a 15-minute video, and this is a 2-minute excerpt. Yeah. Yeah, this was my protagonist. Yeah. 岁月链接丧事，也有链接战争、嫖客和妓女链接嫖客，瘾君子和毒贩链接制服工厂，链接者正在到来，如诗如歌。两只蛇的器官紧紧缠在一起，红色如气，黄色如麻。一组军生正在和毒虫纠缠，试图开始一个进入新物种社会的冒险之旅。一个有科技的女人徜徉在硅基子丛中，脚下是一只奄奄一息的cyber dog和一只饿死的麻雀。特斯拉的机器人袭击了人类工程师，
校园的开放海风口，一只海豚和以驯养式的进行时，间接在威尔金群岛的海滨别墅。而在加沙，百科正飞过蓝天、硝烟和瓦砾，飞入一个难以觉察的阴影区域。想象中的鸽子网络已经投入使用，便接着就得到了，无丝无割。跨界基建“一带一路”去全球化、去中心化、地缘政治、几乎和战争、新民粹或者共同体，地球空间处在不断的链接和断裂之中。则能当我说，回到一个万物交织、万物连接的行动者网络，并不着全世界大进者联合起来，连接者正在到来。
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. And there's also a video game part, which is like a connecting the dots game that I also spent over a year and a half making, and some other genealogical paintings or just characters within this whole game world narrative. But yeah, that was an installation in Kyiv. Okay, thank you.
Can I just go, Sunny? I can just directly. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
just go.
Okay.
We'll talk at the end.
Yeah, thank you, Ziyang, and also Sunny, and also thank you everyone for coming here. I will start with introduction for myself. My name is Eldwin Pradipta from Indonesia. I usually just call myself an artist who use media art as a medium, but sometimes I am also introduced as an intermedia artist. And I think I want to address first what is intermedia in the first place, because I think nowadays the term media can be very blurred and very fluid, that can be used in any discipline, and sometimes it can be also combined with another term to create another meaning. So I will start from my education background. So my school is like Institute Technology of Bandung. It was a technical school, so engineering school. As you can see, the faculty and school in my university is not very related to art at all. So you can see there's art science and also civil engineering and pharmaceutical and etc. And this one, my faculty is of course art and design. And very briefly, we can see that my studio is in the right bottom part, which is intermediate, and it's under fine art department or major. So it's you can see that intermediate is just another medium, different and more conventional medium like painting and sculpture or printmaking and ceramic. This is like the more old model back when I was in school, like 15 years ago. I think they update the studio a bit and combine it into two-dimensional and three-dimensional, and you can also enter art theory majors if you want to be a writer or curator. But intermedia is still there and unchanged until this day. So intermedia itself, I understand that intermedia in my school at least is about interdisciplinary. So you can create artwork not only using the conventional media like painting and sculpture, but you can also work like science, for example, and create science art. It also include performance art, conceptual art. I think it's basically just capturing the whole medium of contemporary art nowadays outside the conventional medium. And I think the first recorded term for intermedia is coined by Dick Higgins, like one of member of the Fluxus movement. I think it's back in 1960s or something. I personally think that intermedia is a very good opportunity that we have intermedia in a technique school, because and then we can just collaborate with another school or faculty. For example, I think you can just go to earth science and technology, for example, and create it like something like land art, or you can go to the biology or science and creating bio art. And I think that's also what my faculty hoping in the first place. But that's just the theory. In practice, it's not happening at all, because if you back there, at least when I was still in school, the contemporary art and the people in general is quite far. I mean, if you just randomly go to another technique faculty and say that let's collaborate and make artwork together, usually they just say, I cannot draw, or I cannot paint, or I didn't understand art at all. So what people understand as an art is more about again painting and sculpture back in the time. So most of us, I forgot to mention that the first class of intermediate art in my school was in 2008, 2008. I was the second class, so 2009, and then most of us back there just working mostly with technology and become a new media artist. I want to quickly show you my first. This is like my series, like at the early of my artistic career. So back then I mostly just use video and projection, but I try to use it philosophically or related to history. For example, the one you see on the left side. Is basically a projection video that projected into a physical frame of painting that all white. The basic painting is I get it from landscape painting. The landscape painting itself is related to colonial era in Indonesia. Indonesia was colonized by the Dutch for quite a long time, like 350 years, and back then as many Dutch painter come to Indonesia and try to capture the beautiful landscape in Indonesia. It got quite critic, especially from social realist painters in Indonesia that said that the painting, that kind of painting, didn't really depict the reality of Indonesian back there. For example, I can use the video and then to destroy the beautiful visual there. The other is I usually take the cultural aspect and then social aspect from Indonesia, and sometimes I also use historical map that I get from various sources that I can get. I just want to show you a bit the earliest series of my work, because the next one is maybe more related to our discussion theme overall. Starting in 2019, I try to shift my practice and try to create an interactive work. In this series, I really try to incorporate the audience to become part of the work, because maybe you understand that the power relationship between artist and curator and audience and curator and gallery is shared in some way that that artwork is not fully controlled by the artist. Yeah. Sometimes the other agent also have a power to determine which artwork can survive in the art world. By that statement, and then I use this work to make the final visual of my work is not determined by me anymore, but also by the audience. And by doing this, and then I mostly work technically with sensor and then programming language. Little by little, I understand how the computer and software perceive the world around us. I understand that it's quite different. I mean, to get the image, the computer need to break down all the images that we understand into a data, a tiny pixel. And then after that, they need to convert it again to a series of data that we human can understand. And then after that, I quite interested in how the computer itself maybe have some senses like human. I mean, maybe they can see, maybe they can smell something, and maybe they can feel something or think. This is a way back before AI become very popular like right now. This is 2021. Back then it was in the pandemic era. It started from the idea that some people start getting COVID flu, and then they cannot smell. They lose the ability to smell. And then I used the sensor to create this work that make the computer can in some way smell, so the audience can interact with the devices. And if the computer smells something, it will trigger the another image. The image is actually maybe you're familiar with this. This is like a photo. I will show you more detailed point from the artwork. So the image is Bliss. It was a background of Windows XP back in the days. Back in the days, it's like the most famous photograph ever. And then the image and then processed with Google Deep Dream, which is a fairly early model of machine learning. And it was Google Deep Dream is you can metaphorically say that with Google Deep Dream the computer is like hallucinating, and I was trying to simulate what people sometimes remember. People sometimes can remember something from the past. The smell can trigger memory of a human, and I just try to simulate that feeling into this work. And then in another art, sorry, I lost the power back there. In another artwork, I used the camera as a simple sensor to simulate how a computer perceives the world around it. So what basically I do here, just showing that computer is actually perceive the image in front of it only by arranging pixel from point to point. And maybe familiar with hexagonal hexadecimal code, where you can determine color of pixel. The 3D graphic that you see is just a representation of how dark or how bright the pixel is that see by the computer. So the 3D dimensional graphic is actually what the computer see, and sometimes it can quite relate what the computer see and what we as humans see. Sometimes it's aligned, and sometimes you don't really understand what the image is. So I still have quite a long time, but I think this is the final work that I want to share with you. It is also back then when in the pandemic era, I was invited in an online exhibition, and this is the work I create back then, web art. I use CAPTCHA. Maybe you are familiar with CAPTCHA. It's an acronym for Completely Automated Public Turing Test to Tell Computer and Human Apart. So basically, this artwork, if you visit this artwork in the web, you are not forced actually. You can try to solve different kind of CAPTCHA, which is a very basic test that try to proving that you are a human to a computer. And after doing a series of tests, you will arrive at the final page. This is a bit spoiler. It will set the conclusion you identified as a human, but however, the whole works is intended to see by a robot, computer, or AI. So it's like the other way around. And please come back if you are one of those. So basically what I'm trying to say that CAPTCHA is quite interesting because it was start for like filtering robot that try to visit certain web, but and then some other robot can become some other people create the robot that can solve CAPTCHA better or faster, even compared to the human, and then the web programmer must create another CAPTCHA that cannot solve by a robot, and then it is like a race. It's like a race between two robots that created by a web developer, and we don't really know when the race will end. Like we know nowadays the machine can be very complicated with AI and all the thing, and machine and computer with AI can also capable of creating art, which is previously quite exclusive to human. And with all this computer on par with human, I think one aspect that computer and robot might impossible to do is appreciating the art itself. I think I just want to close my presentation with a question. Maybe the question is not what if machine could create art like human do, but what if machine could appreciate art like human do? Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to. Can I just sit a bit closer?
Yeah.
I feel like we're like very fragmented there. Yeah, I'd much prefer being a little bit closer, a little bit more human, I think. Yeah, I mean, I see what you did there. You've prepared a question that you can discuss. But I want to, I think, thank you very much for both your sharing. I think your practice, actually, we spoke on a panel at Art Basel about like 2 years ago. And even then, I'm really shocked by how much it's moved on in terms of like quality and all those sort of tools and stuff. But maybe we can visit Eldwin's practice a little bit in terms of this idea of like perception and how, you know, how it's like computers are now able to do so much because of AI. And also your point about this idea of appreciating art or appreciating just this things like captures. It seems like the vast majority of the world's images are now, it occurs to me, not for us, actually. It's actually for computers. Like they're endlessly generating barcodes or perceiving things through QR codes, and we simply are facilitating that. And perhaps it occurs to me that this notion of art, although it is human, is it something that's almost like it's kind of like perception because of our senses, maybe like the resolution of how we perceive things rather than the resolution of how computers perceive.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, so far, I think AI and also the other tools like machine and programming is all still about human. I mean, it was created in the first place to help human do something, including barcode and QR code is all for so human can more fluidly working in their daily life. And also AI and also all technological development so far at least in the contemporary art scene, I think the audiences still will ask who is the artist, like who is the human behind all this technological stuff, who is, or even like we always ask what is the prompt. If you were talking about text to image creating, what is the prompt? And the prompt is always come from human in the first place. And I think that's the one point that we must take in consideration. And then about how machine can perceive art, I think actually my work before that I show you about the captcha has an Easter egg, which is I create the real web page if the system detecting robot coming. Yeah, there's what I put there is a line of code based on Python because I think the bug robot who will come is created by Python, and that the code I wrote is like a virus that if this is hypothetical, of course, I don't think it will work at all. But the concept is, again, it's just a concept. The concept is if any program read it and then the program will like get the virus and then it will feel the basic feeling same with human that same with what human feel when they see art. So I think it's quite different in some level, but I think in general maybe it's same thing that human and robot maybe want to achieve that kind of goal by showing art, something like that. I think, if that makes sense for you.
Yeah, it does actually. One thing about your work, one of your works where you talk about this idea of how we as humans perceive data in terms of how even like it's arranged. So, for example, when the computer sees, like we seem to, on a computer screen, we see things as this kind of like, obviously 2D like grid or matrix somehow. And we arrange the data in that format so that we can see this kind of like flat image, but also the computer doesn't do that. It's just like a huge line of numbers, right? And it needs to like do something at super speed. That's how it works. It just runs through it. That's how it, it sequentially goes through it. Whereas we need arrangement in some ways. And what you said about how we perceive with our senses in terms of like how, like the visual or the smell or I can't remember the exact things. I think you said something about in the limbic system that smell and yeah, we seem to have like a different set of tools like within our brains, to perceive something. So we don't seem to perceive things as discrete, fragmented parts, but we see something like visually, like instantly as a whole, like we grasp it like instantly. So maybe there's some difference there because it's not just about resolution, because computers can see, hear, visualize in ways beyond that we can as human beings. Where I think I read somewhere that we have like a 4 megapixel or at least very little range, and even then it's only very tiny. And yet when we look at something, we see it or grasp it instantly, whereas yeah, the computer can't. It gets confused, or it needs us to solve captures in order to do it. I think maybe that's a little bit about where you're coming from in terms of like perception.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about that, you can say that that the advanced technological achievement until right now is like that, but we don't really know how the computer will perceive things in the future. I mean, with neural network and machine learning, it could be another form of computation machine that will exist in the future. I don't know how near future is that. And I mean, like machine learning is also interesting because even the creator didn't really understand what happened there, because the process was do by a machine, and then also studied by machine, and also trained by machine. But so we just know we put a bunch of data at the input side, and we need to receive the goal at the end. The process is we don't really know, right? And but I think that's something like quite scary. I mean, in the past we can just use like a Turing machine, Turing test to determine if this is a machine or not. But today we cannot really do that anymore, and it is just like just a couple of years started from the like ChatGPT of DeepSeek emerged, and we don't really know how long we will achieve something more advanced from that. Something.
I just wanted to give one example, like one concrete example about what I mean actually. By chance, because I decided to move away from my chair and sit on that seat there. Of course, you know, I'm not saying anyone's talk is boring or anything. I drifted off a little bit, and I started staring at that mass of books, and I saw like a work by Sia Armajani, and we have one of his works in the M+ collection, which is called a number from between 1 and 0, and it's a computer printout. It was made in the sort of 60s. It was actually for the exhibition information at MoMA. I only happen to know all this because I'm really obsessed with that work, but I just happened to see it, and it brought up this connection in me where I thought about, oh, actually this is like about perception, about how we can perceive things, and we can perceive a number between 1 and 0 like instantly. We can think about it like that. And the concept of printing out like 3 meter tall set of papers to represent this singular number from 0 and 1. We don't need to read every single digit in order to perceive that. We can just instantly know about it. Like we get concepts and we can instantly get it. But then, like when we're just talking now, it made me think about what was the reason for me, kind of perceiving random, data from out of nowhere and drawing some association from that just out of thin air related to this talk. I think humans are still very good at that, this kind of like pattern grabbing and relationships, like these kind of little fragments of data, like out of all these books, I could probably just look at something, like, George Shinnery, and think about something in the past which I read about in terms of, I think he taught the first painter, the first Chinese painter at the Royal Academy who painted diseases of people. But that comes from absolutely nowhere. Like a computer probably isn't going to draw that association when you randomly look at data. So I think that's where maybe humans are still useful, because we're very good pattern recognizers. But maybe we move on a little bit with you, Ziyang, as well. Actually, really interesting work. When the Pinchuk Center thing, you're talking about Agatha. Sorry, it's a sort of stream of consciousness. I'm not very good at sort of preparing questions. I like kind of like chatting. So also Agatha and this idea of the underground world, right, is like super fascinating for me, because it also makes me think about ideas of this kind of latent space underneath, like kind of underground, which is exactly what the sort of digital world is. In fact, like when we think about like the cloud, it's not even in the air at all. It's actually on the earth or ground level. So I don't know if you like were thinking about those things when you were creating the work.
Absolutely. I think, of course, Agartha is underground, just like by late nature, right? Like it's like this hypothetical, mysterious underground world. But I do think there's a lot of interest in my past work on like infrastructure, for example. So all the submarine cables for data transmission, or all the sort of like important data centers are in the mountains, or I don't know the word in English. It's like during wartime, like you will hide there. Also
Bunker?
Bunkers, yeah. But like larger bunkers. Like right now, they don't use it to hide humans. They used to hide data
Like
centers.
servers, right?
Yeah. So that become the most important thing in the world, like more important than human to because we need to protect those data centers. So I feel like these are sort of like the geological aspect of infrastructure that I think is always sort of interesting. That is sort of easy to get ignored. For example, the submarine cable, the shape of global submarine cable is a triangle. That is the same as slavery. That is the same as the first generation, I think, of the copper sort of trade. So because like it's built on the sort of same sort of trading system.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like an abstract.
Yeah,
notion of-
abstract.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry.
So I thought you literally meant they were
No. It's like a yeah. So it's I think these are sort of like the hidden sort of story about like the technological thing. So going back to Agartha, I think there's a lot of things that is related to that, and of course I was inspired by a bunch of writers and theorists such as Latour, to like Graham Harman, to like Timothy Morton, right? Like all these very I guess important writers, and I think so inspired by them, I was trying to look at more sort of how like the idea of Wood Wide Web instead of World Wide Web, or the idea how should I describe? Yeah, the pigeon. For example, the pigeon network idea that was inspired by an NYU professor, where she was proposing to use pigeon intelligence to substitute all the data, sort of cable-based data transmissions, right? Using biointelligence, sort of, because we used to use pigeons to send messages anyway. So she was saying that because of all the data transmission by cables, by electricities, is so easy to be surveilled, to be sort of monitored. There must be alternative ways that we can do it or build it. So in the end, I think there's a lot of underground and also like data alternative infrastructure modes of sort of we create those things that we can possibly do, and that's I think a lot of my interests are embedded there.
Wow, 2 minutes left. Gosh. Another thought I had, it has to be the last thing actually, I guess, but like this idea of like fragmentation. I really like thinking about how technologies, it occurs to me that they're all just essentially compartmentalizing or constructing ways that we live our lives, right? So we talked about this the talk, but this idea of, there's a book by Charlie Geer, really inspired me during my BA, called Art, Time and Technology, where he talks about the idea of time itself as a construct, which is like a technology, right? Even though we perceive time now in sort of fragments, so we live our day-to-day lives as if it's this kind of thing that we just monitor, but actually it changes the way that we live, as in it changed the way we sleep. So we no longer sleep in the ways of the past because we started working in factories. In the factory, they started compartmentalizing time, and we started producing more and more technologies which basically are based on time and this aspect of fragments of time. So yeah, there's no real like question, I guess, to that. But I don't know if you had any kind of reflection in that in the last 2 minutes that we had.
Yeah, I think you already mentioning like factory. I mean, time is very related with industrial revolution, I think, because in the back we can just start working whenever we want, and then something like a big production machine, including human, must work together in the same time. So we must agree when is the time. So I think something like that is also related to how the humanity move to bigger goal, I think, which is also debatable. Yeah, I mean, agricultural revolution and also industrial revolution. Some people might say that it's not a very good thing for humanity in general, because hunter-gatherer can be debatably live a better life compared to us right now, something like that. But yeah, it's also it's definitely something that we must take in order to move on to the next step, because I think collaboration between human and human to create bigger things is the main force to develop into next evolution step. Yeah.
Okay. I guess we have to. So I haven't even given you time to like talk about that, but maybe we can talk about that during dinner or something. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening to that talk. Yeah, thanks Ziyang and Eldwin. Thank you.